This video is about sequels and why today's sequels are actually really shit and old sequels of old are actually better. This is one of the only times I'll ever be a nostalgia faggot, but I think it's necessary considering Diablo 3 happened. I am under the assumption that sequels suck today because people don't realize what sequels are supposed to be. Sequels are supposed to be they're supposed to be the game that they are sequeling, but add more stuff into it to make it not the same game. Does that make sense? That nowadays, that's called DLC. True sequels, in my opinion, are the likes of Banjo Tooie 2, Majora's Mask, Torchlight 2, fucking... You know what, I'll even throw this in there too, even though I just started playing it. How about Pokemon Black and White 2? Have you guys tried that game? It's actually not too bad. It's basically the same game as its predecessor, the same area, same sprites, same character design. That's what sequels are supposed to do. They're supposed to be the same game, added on with a bunch of shit, and make the game better and more dynamic. My premier example of this is Banjo Tooie 2. The best sequel, I think, of all time. That is the perfect definition of what a sequel should be. Let me bring you back in time a little bit to 90... I don't remember when Banjo Tooie 2 was released. But basically, we had an N64. My family, when I was a young little boy, little tiny chubby boy, I had an N64. I actually had two N64s because that was a great console, and we had two. One across the state, or fucking province, we call it up here, at my grandmother's house, and one at our house. So we had two, basically. Whenever we went to my grandmother's house, it was pretty often, we used to fuck around the N64. We didn't want to bring the old one, or ours, out there all the time. It was getting a hassle, I guess. I don't really remember. That's irrelevant. Basically, I used to watch people play video games all the time. I used to watch my mother and sister play Banjo Kazooie all the time. They used to watch me play that all the time. It was a good game, you know, that's just how we had entertainment back in the day. Video games were kind of new to us, and we were like, oh, let's watch each other fuck around with video games. So we did that. And, I had a point to this. Hang on. Oh, right, my point was, I didn't play through all the way Banjo Kazooie 2. I watched people play through it themselves. And I kind of did a little bit as well. But I pretty much watched a playthrough of Banjo Kazooie 2. Now, I don't remember much about it, to be honest with you. I have to be perfectly honest here, but I do remember the main points. Basically, they took the exact same game. I don't mean the same, game and, Switch events and all that shit. Well, I don't know what they're called, but in RPG Maker, they're called Switch events. Basically, they didn't take all the events of Banjo Kazooie 1 and put it into the same game. No, they took the same polygon characters. I emphasize polygon. And they took the same abilities, they took the same characters, they took the same dialogue style, they took the same text and everything like that. They took all the same shit, all the same formats of everything they've done before, and they just made a new game with it. Isn't that nice? Isn't that great how they just did that? And instead of just, altering the abilities or anything like that, they added the exact same abilities. You have the same abilities as you've always had. You just have more now. Like, for instance, the egg thing that Kazooie has. Grenade eggs. They weren't in the first game. There was bouncy fire eggs or something like that. They weren't in the first game. There's different kinds of eggs you can get and shit like that. That's great. That is what a sequel should be. You add stuff that makes the game better. It's simple. This is, by the way, just a big roundabout way of me making fun of Diablo 3, so if you want to skip ahead a few minutes, go ahead. This whole subject really came up with me because I bought a video game entitled Torchlight 2. I bought the first Torchlight. I had a good time with Torchlight. I thought it was a great game. It lacked multiplayer. That was the big complaint that everybody had with it. It was, wow, this is really fun. I wonder how much more fun it would be with friends. And Runic Games were like, well, that's everyone's big complaint, so we'll make Torchlight 2 and we'll have it with multiplayer. And guess what? It made the game infinitely better. Now, it's pretty much the same thing. They have the same engine, the exact same graphics. There was really no graphic overhaul. They just added new stuff. And They added multiplayer. They added another class, which was basically more than an archetype of another class. That was in the first game, obviously, because there's only 3. And you know, they added, you know, different genders to make characters. You didn't have to be a female Outlander. You didn't have to be a male Berserker or whatever the fuck that one's called. But regardless of all the stuff that they did add, and they did add quite a lot, and they made the game, they stretched out the game quite a bit, so it's super long. It's a very long game. Regardless of all of that, the important thing is that they kept the shit that made the first game great. Very, very important. They kept the shit that made the first game great. For example, pets. They kept pets. They kept pets. Every character gets a pet. You can feed them fish to turn them differently. Fishing is kept in there. They improved upon fishing, actually, so you can catch more shit in different areas, in different parts of the world, which is great. You can get more rare shit in secret fishing holes and stuff like that. They kept the same art style that they kept the same art style that they implemented and established in the first game, which is very important. I think that's also another important part about the whole thing, is especially with, like, look at games like Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time. Same thing what I'm talking about. Exact same, you know, character models and all that stuff. All the exact same style of combat and the same style of item usage and stuff like that. Same inventory. But they just made a different game with it. It's good. If it's good, use it. Not Diablo 3, by the way. Not Diablo 3. You know what they did? You know what they did, guys? They made a new game with the Diablo name. And it sucks dick. They basically made World of Warcraft, Real Money Auction House, point-and-click adventure 2.0. Boring fucking game. Does everybody remember Diablo 2? Remember the fondness you had of walking around those 3 altars, those 4 altars, whatever the fuck it was, in Diablo, in Hell, okay? Remember in Hell where you were like, oh, Diablo's here, there's a big altar in the middle of this place, I better go light these altars in the other place to make the big one happen. Oh! It's Diablo, the Lord of fucking Destruction, or whatever it was called. Big moment, you know? Big, scary fucking thing comes out and beats your ass. And, you know, one-shots you. You have to make a town portal, and obviously go back and make another town portal, and you have to... It was a big relay bit, pretty much. Look at this picture! Look at it! What is this? Stop! No! Get it away from here. It sucked. It was a bad choice. The writing was pretty bad, by the way, in this game. It wasn't very... It was pretty predictable. It was pretty boring. It was just a nonsense game. It was short, too. It was pretty short. Act 1 was probably the longest act, and it was not very fun. Okay, here's another thing. I'll get shit for this, but I personally think that maybe not the characters. Blizzard doesn't seem to do very well with character art design or anything like that. They don't seem to really give a shit about, like, the character of the game. You know, they don't care about what you're playing. They care about where you're playing. In Diablo 2, I believe that the areas were more detailed and prettier and had better graphics, can I say that, than Diablo 3. It was just better. I bring into question the sand areas in Diablo 3 and Act 2 of Diablo 2. You know what, I actually don't want to, like, completely bash Diablo 3 as much as I probably could. I basically just want to end it by saying that Diablo 3 was not a proper sequel to the Diablo series. In that same vein, Diablo 1 and Diablo 2, they were pretty closely interconnected. Very closely interconnected. I wouldn't say that it's like the definition of a sequel, but it's very close. And I appreciate that. But then again, Blizzard never really has like a good track record for sequels. A la StarCraft 2. Where's my Reavers? Nice Colossus. Did you right-click it and kill my army? But that's a fucking pointless thing to talk about. No one cares about StarCraft 2. Yeah, that was the first video I think I've made with effort in about a while. I'm going to plug a few things, because this is the end of the video, and fuck it, I want to plug some stuff. I've never plugged anything pretty much ever in my life, except other channels, which I'm doing right now. I am plugging my since my PC is broken and I refuse to fix it for whatever reason, I'm making a Let's Play of, get it, Pokemon! And I need names for my guys. So, fucking go to the channel in the description, which is my other Let's Play channel. I'm 1 for 4 in Let's Play so far. Another thing I'm going to plug is my Twitter. I have a Twitter. I've had one for a while. I just never plugged it. It's SLAPPAYURFACE. Twitter. Slap is my channel name on Twitter. Go there. I don't ever use it, but fuck it. I might as well plug it. So, yeah, that's it.